I just got back from a 4-day sightseeing trip in Los Angeles. I wanted to hit a bunch of famous TV and movie filming locations. You've seen my first video where I visited the places of my favorite TV shows. And while we tried to edit the clips for time and objectionable content, now I'm delving into my favorite R-rated movies. Viewer discretion advised. I'm wearing my favorite R-rated t-shirt, so let's hop in. My first stop was to grab my brother and head to Pat and Lorraine's coffee shop from the infamous Madonna speech and Reservoir Dogs. This movie is one of the most influential on my indulgence of art house and alternative cinema, and I was excited to hear I could actually visit and eat there. It's a tiny place. I couldn't believe they had 7 actors around the table plus a dolly, boom operator, lighting, etc. But the decor has changed very little over the last 30 years. Just please remember to tip your server. Just a quick drive from Pat and Lorraine's is the corner of New York and Avenue 50, the spot where Steve Buscemi got hit by a car, carjacked that car, and then blasted his way from the cops. The storefronts have changed a lot, and you can barely hear the sounds of KBI-LLY's Super Sounds of the 70s. Moving along through Tarantino's filmography, the next stop was the Crown Pawn Shop, where Bruce Willis liberated Ving Rhames and then Grace. Of all the warnings movies have given us over the years, the number one warning is you do not go into this pawn shop. I took a selfie from outside and moved on. Then it was the long drive out into the desert north of the city to visit the Kill Bill Church. It looks just like it did in the movie, but there is a large truck parked in front in order to discourage unauthorized filming. Still, I was here for the sunset, and I have my Lego-style Beatrix Kiddo, so I got a photo or two and then hit the road. There isn't much left in the way of sightseeing from his older films, but his most recent, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, still feels fresh even though it's about LA in 1969. My favorite location was the house of Leo DiCaprio's Rick Dalton. I recognized it and the gated driveway to the Polanskis immediately. The cover of my personal guidebook featured the faux TV guide, so I could take this exact photo. I also brought along the Mad magazine for the movie featuring the Jack Davis-inspired work by Tom Richmond. Before hitting that Kill Bill church, I took a small detour at the location for Cactus Jack's, the spot in the original Terminator where the iconic photo of Linda Hamilton contemplating the future was taken. This also has an appearance in From Dusk Till Dawn, and it's only about 10 minutes away from the Kill Bill church. There's not much left, but you can sense the storm coming in the distance. Jumping to Terminator 2, my next stop was the home where Edward Furlong's John Connor lived with his foster parents from Aliens and hung out with Budnick from Sleeper Shorts. Aside from a different paint job, it looks familiar and you can really recognize the neighbor's house in the background. She's not my mother, Todd. I wish I had the rights to play Guns N' Roses You Could Be Mine right here. It actually could just run for the entire rest of the video. Now I jumped over to the LA Spillway. They used large swatches of the spillway for filming, but the spot I was directed to was the best for parking and taking photos. It's pretty gross, and there's a lot less abandoned cars than from the movie, but it gave me chills to stand there anyway. I brought this little T2 endoskeleton toy with me, but the wind kept blowing him over, so that was the only shot that I got. I thought another great sightseeing spot would be this area at Elysian Park. It overlooks the city, and is the spot Linda Hamilton dreamt about Judgment Day leveling LA. There isn't a playground here anymore. T2 is obviously my favorite, but I think Terminator Salvation is underrated. It's a pretty solid movie. I love the textures, action, cinematography. Bonus, they had one of the Terminator motorcycles and an endoskeleton from Salvation at the Petersen Auto Museum, so I got some cool shots while I was there. I was able to use off-camera flash and get the T-800's eyes to glow. All the while, I could still be listening to Guns N' Roses, so I made a pit stop at the Guns N' Roses Hell House. The band all crammed into this house while they were recording Appetite for Destruction. You can match the window from this band pic to the front porch. It's not far from the legendary Troubadour Club. I was happy to see the Save Our Stages shout out while I was rocking my 930 Club face mask. Another underrated action favorite of mine is Michael Bay's The Island, actually rated PG-13. The action is amazing, and I love the existential conspiracy Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson attempt to fight. This flying copter and the Cadillac CN are on display at the museum as well. Another early movie that got me hooked on art house was Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange. The biggest surprise for me at the Petersen Auto Museum was seeing the original 1969 Probe 16. First off, it's iconic, but the car itself is sick as hell. Kubrick could have shown it off a bit more in the film. It took all trip to finally see it, but with my family's help, I got to get a photo of Nakatomi Plaza from Die Hard. It's actually the 20th Century Fox office building, and after weeks of scouting around for a skyscraper for their movie, they just decided to use their own. The under construction areas in the movie were really unfinished floors. You can't just drive up to the plaza, but you can see it from various spots in town. That wraps my R-rated movie section. I have another video coming featuring favorite 80s family movies. Swing by my Instagram @ajones and website millionaireplayboy.com for more photos. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.